I can't even think of one client that I've worked with that hadn't been on that journey. The consolidation and optimization of footprint, looking, particularly if there's, for example, mergers and acquisitions kind of activity, and you've got two organisations with a similar footprint. The first thing, as part of, even before that merger's been signed off, we're asked to look at where there are synergies in the same cities and locations, and how could we bring those together. So it was not even a trend as such as a best practice. You wouldn't be doing a job properly if you weren't looking at that as a way to move forward. Across all of our client base, regardless of sector, it is about looking at efficiency from that perspective of just having lots and lots and lots of different real estate coming together to use real estate smarter in a more efficient way. And that isn't just about cost. Like, cost is obviously a big motivator, but it's also about sustainability. So, the footprint that you have, real estate is a big part of your sustainability footprint as an organisation. And if you can use real estate more efficiently, then you're delivering on your own sustainability goals. But it's also around collaboration, integration, innovation, all of the things about, there is benefit in bringing the different parts of our organisation under one roof, even if they still have dedicated spaces, even if in some cases there's need for compliance walls or information barriers. There's still areas where we want people to feel that they have more part of a bigger organisation and the ability to mingle and have those serendipitous collisions that they don't get working in separate buildings. They will say we're just a very different organisation and we couldn't share space because we work in this very different way. We need to be in this particular part of a city or location because it's near our particular customers or near universities or whatever else. So there's a bit about location specifics. There's a bit about we're just different from everybody else. I guess there's some anxiety of what it means about status sometimes. And sometimes having your own front door, having your own space, that can be a threat to some people's perception of status of their part of the organisation or of their team. A lot of what we do, my team has behavioural psychologists as well as architects, designers, HR specialists. So we work on that kind of anxiety and fear of change and actually help people understand not to view it in a way of what you're losing, but actually what you gain from it. And also thinking about how the rest of the world and how their business and how their peers are developing. And peers may be more difficult for the UN, but seeing the benefits that others have taken from such changes. And also where you start to see, particularly in the private sector, this isn't just something that you hold on to, it's becoming actually a competitive disadvantage to stay in the same way. It is around creating the burning platform effectively, but also appealing to people's individual kind of sense of concern and anxiety about change and showing them how it could work. Quite often we introduce people to their peers in other organisations who've been through a similar change to say, yes, I was just like you. I really worried about this. I worried about losing my office or losing these privileges, but actually now let me show you around my wonderful office. This is what I've got as an outcome. And this is how I've been able to talk to my team about it, my client base, for whoever their organisational stakeholders are, whether that's shareholders, whether that's clients or a membership organisation. There's a very positive story to tell about portfolio aggregation or optimisation or compression, whatever you call it, and what you can create in that new space. Many take the opportunity not to just get more sustainable buildings that are more focused on employee well-being, buildings that are more inclusive as well. Like, we have a huge part to play in building design and the ways of working that's more inclusive. So it's a great tool for thinking about how do we have a different talent market, making ourselves more attractive, not just for our existing talent, but actually to who else we want to recruit in the future. And most organisations are struggling to recruit, for example, digital skills or thinking about how they appeal to younger generations in the talent market. And again, a change of location and or the ways of working and the office location is often an opportunity to build in some more resilience effectively. But yeah, the office footprint itself, it is all around agility and flexibility, as you say. So the way that occupiers are taking space is different. They're looking for more flexibility in terms of leasing space. So potentially saying, we'll take this amount of space on these lease terms, but we'll have other lease break opportunities for this amount at different times. They want the availability of flex space. So a lot of, for example, multi-tenanted buildings, the landlord or an operator will actually offer some flex office space within it. So again, you can have the space that you're leasing, but you can also take on some additional space if you have an excess demand, and you can expand and contract as you need. But then it's also how you fit out that space. So a new metric that we're looking at with a lot of occupiers is how much of the space is multi-purpose. So a traditional office fit out will be, these are desks, the desks stay here, and it's going to look broadly like this for the next 10 years. The new office design is much more movable walls, curtain walls, multi-purpose. Your restaurant can become meeting space, can become well-being yoga class space. You have more outside space that's multifunctional for events or for working. That adaptability, because the pace of change is happening. Different people are going to be pointed at the building at different times. The way that you work, the projects you'll be working on are going to evolve and adapt. And you don't want to have to do a full architectural redesign each time you need a building that's fit for purpose. So that adaptability, flexibility, on top of having more flexibility to expand and contract the actual space as well. The world of work is changing. Work isn't a place, it's a thing we do. So we have to respond to be much more agile. And organisations who resist that and who say, no, it's everybody back in the office and we're all going to carry on as if the same way as we've worked for the last 20 years, they're not going to be resilient organisations. The world of talent is moving forward, and the way organisations respond post-COVID particularly, I think, is really going to set them apart or actually set them at a disadvantage.